Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at the Phanteks P300 case. We're going to be putting in an ASUS H87M Plus motherboard. This does have the 6 slots for your SATA connectors. Does have 2 slots for your PCI Express 3. And then we have some decent in and out ports. The good thing about this particular motherboard and the CPU we're putting in, they will have onboard graphics. The board itself from ASUS claims that it will run 4K on onboard graphics with right pairings. We're going to be actually putting in an EVGA GeForce GT 610. This is not going to be one of those machines that's going to blow away the competitors. It's not designed for that. It is for the real individuals that we are all building our computers for, who will need to do general tasks. They want to have enough processing power to do the common daily tasks that they would like. In this particular case, our neighbor is going to need this. He's got some pretty decent graphics, and I'm going to do this for his wife. Motherboard is spec'd properly for what he's looking to do, and then we're also going to give him enough RAM to be able to handle the workload he's going to have. We're going to pair this with a Samsung Evo 840, so he has some of the speed. These motherboards don't come with the M.2 on board. Obviously later on, if he finds that he's even short on that, he could go with the PCI Express. There's 2 lanes there. We're going to pair it with a Thermaltake power supply unit, and then finally we're going to cool it with a Deep Cool Gaming Max 400. Now this has done fairly well. I didn't want too much RGB. This particular case will have some RGB capabilities. But anyways, let's go ahead and get down to it. Build should be quick, should be relatively easy, and we'll get to it. Alright, packaging is done well. Standard for most of your cases, you'll see foam on top, foam on bottom. Thermaltake does do a really good job in packaging most of their cases. And you're also spending a little bit more, so the premium is in the packaging to make sure that your pieces get there correctly. Phanteks does a good job as well. So, as you can see, the case is really nice feature from the front. The options show that he's got a good computer on the inside and he's going to run it. So we'll have the viewable front. Glass is fairly decent. Looks like it didn't break. Panel for the glass is all encased. And we'll take this off real quick so you can see the inside. Ports in the back for your PCI Express lanes. Panel is going to come off just like everyone says. Drop it back in the box. Make sure you don't break it between the time when you're opening the box and doing your build. Okay, so important features. Top side. On the top of this Phanteks, you do have a removable screen for dust cover. It does not have the corresponding fan, so you'll need to add that. Put another fan under there. I do have fans that I can put in here. Alright, so top side USB 3.0, you switch, you have the power buttons, and then you got audio on the top. Back side here, which is really nice. To get to the panel, it's going to be actually, this is covered up, and so it's a solid piece. And what you'll do is you'll come from the back side, and you'll have to open it up and put your power supply unit in from the back side. Case where your motherboard panel is going to go. You do have one slot here open, and it looks like these pop up. This tray for your SSDs, and you can put it in multiple locations. It looks like it will fit up to a maximum of 2 of these. I've noticed this on 2 of these cases that I've put together so far. The cables are actually being held together by onboard cable management, and so, which is really nice. So you do have an onboard 3.1, which obviously goes at the top. You have your fan for the rear fan. Let's see if this is an easy pull off for the front. This does not come with a front fan. It is opened up. What is nice about this is the panel is solid, but there's grills here, but the grills are actually covered with dust covers. So I don't know if you can see that inside there, but there's two dust covers that come in from the top and from the bottom, and it looks like they would be somewhat easy to take out. So you'd want to, there's two tabs on the bottom. I suspect you probably take those and pull them down and over this little latch and just kind of pop those out. And that's about what it would take to get those out. So then they go back in. These are the little tabs that I was talking about right here. Ports, here's something really interesting. They do have hard drive in and out bays on the bottom. And of course you get your, and they really put those things in there on that, just so you don't lose them. Okay, and then this bay is empty, but now it is kind of chintzy. I'm just going to tell you that if you put too much pressure in here, I can see you breaking these things off. So when you pull them in, kind of dig just a little bit and then give it a tug. This button right here is actually an RGB switch and allow you to switch your RGB as you move along. Okay, now we got the bird's eye view. So we're going to put the power supply in. They fit relatively nice, quick in. It's going to go through. We're going to put it up here. There are two slots that are coming right here. And I don't know if you can see if we come from this direction. Larger slots from the top, smaller slots in the bottom for your in and out ports. All tidied up. And only ones that are through here. So we're going to use our cable management here and lock these down so they're out of the way. So that's one thing that's really nice about the Velcro is you can get the cable management with Velcro in and out quickly. Okay, so since we're back here, let's go ahead and pop this off. The way these are, this is the bottom down here, and so you'll want to probably put it down in this direction, so I would just attach it this way. Okay, opposite side now. We have all of our cable management taken care of here. Pop in our motherboard. Your audio always, well, generally is going to be in the bottom. It's either going to be 3 holes or it's going to be 6. And the way to put these ones in is you slide it in on one corner and then just push it in, and then on the opposite corner kind of put tension on it. And you want to put pressure on both sides so that you have pressure coming from this side against where your thumb is on the opposite side, and push down on it. If you don't, you're going to bend the inside of your frames, because although these frames are really well made, and in this particular case is, I mean, it's sturdy, I really like it. But when you're trying to make the back plate here, they've got a lot of area that, especially with the fan in outlets, that it can be cut out, and so because they've got that piece out, it's very flexible. So we're going to be using the MX4, and again, if you buy a big tube of it, you put enough computers together, you'll know why you want to buy a bigger tube. There is no real instructions except for on the lid itself, and you can see right here for your LGA 775s, the 1150s and 51s, the brackets come from the bottom, and then you use the screws into the bottom. Now again, we want these to be facing this direction, so we'll pop these down like this. So I'm going to move the case out of here just briefly so you can see how I'm going to clip this on. So here's our top, we're just going to put this on the So you may be wondering, because I'm doing this, what kind of material am I using underneath here? You'll note that folks like Linus and Level 1 Tech and a few of those other guys actually have those handy dandy displays. This material is real soft, so if you drop it, it's got some forgiveness to it, so you don't destroy the bottom part. The other thing about it is it's static resistant, and the great thing about it is it covers a nice section of about 3 by 4, and it costs all of $9 over at Walmart. Okay, so here they do have different fittings. They'll tell you on the front of the case, depending on spacing, this will tell you where you should have these at. I believe that the LGA 50 doesn't require you to have them as far out as possible. Actually midway through. These processors do not need as much as the newer processors or like the Threadripper, and when you see me put the Threadripper on, you're going to see quite a bit put on. But about a P still is a good amount that you should put on here. Linus said when he was doing his good rule of thumb is put it on, make sure it seats, and then if you get a chance, seat it completely down and then pull it off. And if it's spread, you know you had contact and you did fairly well with it. And if it doesn't, then you need to go back and see why you didn't have it seat right. You shouldn't have any twist in it. It should be good. Alright, so now we'll put back on our fan. And again, our fan's going to be pushing from the opposite side. And I might put my RAM in right now, just to make sure that I can get my RAM fit in there because of how this is actually fitting on there. So I might not be able to get my RAM on there. So I'm going to put in a few of my sticks. RAM is relatively easy. If you've seen computer builds before, if this is the first time, you're looking for your notch. Your DDR3 is going to have a notch almost 2/3 of the way up, and that notch is going to correspond with your DIMM slot. So I got the exact amount for each one of these DIMM slots, so I'm not going to go into how you need to populate. So you want to put pressure on one side till you hear a click on the opposite side. Make sure it clips in just like that. And same thing. This motherboard has the non-tab side. Basically it's a static tab, and you just slide it in and then you put it on that side and then push it and it clips in. HyperX and the folks that make these RAM modules do such a nice job. They just are good looking RAM. I do have some RAM sticks that are white, and they really are nice if you're doing a display in your RGB case. But these red ones or the blue ones are just really nice. The heat sinks on them work really well. Okay, so now we got all those installed. Now I can put this on with a little bit more confidence. So I'm going to put this up here. Boy, it is tight in here, guys. It is really tight. So I'm going to kind of loop it like this first and try getting it so that the edge of the fan is at least lower. So it is a little pain in the rump. The other thing is notice that the fan is here, and I did not get that fan put in. So I will have to take this off because it looks like that fan is right above this. So be very careful because that thing is sharp. Holy cow, that's sharp. Oh, look at that. I'm sitting on top of my RAM. So this is This is a good setup, but unfortunately, you're gonna have to really put this almost right on top of your fan. I hope you've got enough room around it. That is somewhat unfortunate. Okay, so now that I've got this, I'm going to put pressure on to squeeze this over just a little bit, and we're on now. So it's solidly on. That only took a few trial runs. I'm going to try squeezing this excess cord underneath. RAM is already on. Where we've got this positioned, it worked out just perfect for a power cord. So we'll add that on next. This direction like this. Now there's no support on this side because your ATX will have these right here. So because you have no support, be careful as you're pushing down. Take your hands underneath, because there will be a lip underneath there, and then take your thumbs, put them on the 24 pin and kind of push it in from that direction. More than enough people have broken their motherboards by putting too much pressure on. Now here is something that I should have done, and it looks like, again, this is just not thinking as I put this in. This fan is right in the way of this build. So in this case, we're going to put our video card on the top here. If you are using a dual bin where your card is going to use more than one of the PCI slots, you should be okay to put it in this build, this kind of computer setup. You should be good to put it in there without having too much trouble. And it's seated. Okay. And put this. Oops. Thumbs. Start it off, make sure you got it in the right spot, and then come in with your handy dandy. This one, nope. Again, using our longer screwdrivers is going to avoid wrapping up against the case in this particular model. There you go. Okay. This is for the USB 3.1, and our connector is down here, so we don't need all of this back here, so we can try running some of that back into the case. Just need enough to get this over. Okay, it should click in. Good. Alright, now, only other piece that we need to have attached at this point is power switch. So now we have our audio that we need to get in here, and that's a pretty easy slot in there. So all cables are now connected in there. Okay, so that's it. I will start it up and then let you guys take a look at it when I get it powered on. Okay, the build is now done. So I did add a hard drive on the bottom and took advantage of that. One of the things you need to understand with the ports for your hard drives are that the wires actually come in. Let's see if I can show you. The wires are actually going to come in on this side, because remember they pop out like this. The wires can come in as well. There's a little area right down here that you can do that. I actually ran them underneath because I only used one, so that I didn't get caught up here on the front face plate. Our cables all went in pretty well for cable management. I can tidy them up just a little bit nicer. There we have it, nice and clean all the way around. No hard drives up front. Fan will be blue, so it's going to radiate out here. I'll try getting this color on the front to be blue as well when we start it up. Before we finish off on that thought, I want to go through some pretty important things that you should consider when you're doing your final checklist before you turn on your computer. Number one, make sure that you don't have any parts that are grounded out from the power supply, cables that are connecting that are close to the motherboard that you've, in your cable management, you've accidentally got those too close, or if there's, check all of your cables, make sure that there's no cuts to them. Even if they're brand new, sometimes you will have a cut, and you want to make sure that you don't have a broken wire exposed to the case. It's an easy look, it doesn't take any time. With regard to power, make sure your power lines are securely in. Make sure all of your cables are in. 2 spots on these newer motherboards. You're going to have the CPU power, and you're also going to have the main motherboard power. Make sure that all of your RAM is seated, and make sure, again, you double check the strength of your contact with your CPU cooler. Other than that, pretty much everything else is cut and dry. All right. Okay, we finally got it started up. You can see it's loading KMM2. I'm going to leave the glass on because this is going to be a gift, so I don't want it to. The glass protector, so I don't want to touch that.